Good evening, my beautiful people. So today I was gonna steam some veg, but then I decided I'll do one of my specials or one of my Jack's style veg, which is part steam, part stir fry. And this is all the veg that I found in my fridge that I need to use up, and of course the seasonings, oil, etc. that I'm going to be using. But let's just go through the vegetables first. Because it's night and I've been using the kitchen lights, I'm getting a shadow. I need to get other lights on top of this. But anyway, it's all about the food. So let's go back to, let's have a look at the veg. We've got sugar snaps. We've got some carrot sticks there. Well, carrot that I've cut into sticks. We've got some chocho. Yes, you can use chocho in a stir fry. We've got some stringless beans, I think they call it. Stringless beans, you know, the long ones, which I've sliced up. We've got our red, orange, and green peppers over there. We've got some green beans, just ordinary green beans that's been topped and tail. We've got some baby corn. We've got some okra that I've washed and sliced up. I only can eat okra if it's stir fried. I don't like it steamed. Then we've got some ginger, some garlic, and some red onions. And I use red onions because it's slightly sweeter. And I've also got some leeks there as well, some chopped up leeks. And when I finished it all, I'm also going to add some spring onions, pak choy sliced up quite thickly, and that's a bit of coriander and parsley. So when I've finished cooked it all, I'm going to add those three items in at the end. Just mix it through, turn the fire off, and it will cook down and still have a slight crunch, especially on the pak choy. Then for my seasonings, this is what I usually use. Obviously, you don't have to use the exact same things. You use what you prefer. I use a bit of cayenne pepper, some mixed spice. Always love using mixed spice on my meats, even to season meats, to marinate meats. Garlic salt, ginger powder, turmeric, some oyster sauce. I love oyster sauce on vegetables. Some rapeseed oil, black pepper, some less salt, light soy sauce, some sugar. Need the sugar to balance the flavors. And hiding in the corner there is some Chinese wine. You don't have to use that, and if you haven't got it, then you could use red wine or white wine, and it is only a sprinkle on it that I actually use. So that's what we've got. Let's start cooking. Now, as you can see, I've got the garlic and the ginger in the pan in the oil, flavor in the oil. I've got about 3 tablespoons of oil in the pan. Just give it a little stir. So get that started. And then I'm going to start with my harder veg, like carrots, for example. Let's get the carrots in. And remember, it's a stir fry, so we got to keep, yep, you got it, stirring. And I started on quite a high heat. I started on 8. I'm using electric, not gas. And I'm going to bring it down to about 6. Get that into the oil because I want it to soak into the carrots. You can see I've added the red onions, I've added the leeks as well. Usually I would have added the onions and the leeks in first before I even put the carrots in, but I forgot. Even though I've got it all laid out there for me. Remember, when you're making stir fries and stuff like that, stuff like this, should say, have everything prepared, cut up, ready. Don't try and do it as you're going along, because you'll end up with mush. They cook pretty quickly, and if you like it quite crunchy-ish, like I do, then make sure you have everything prepared. And now I'm going to add the green beans and stir those in. Right, change the position of the camera so hopefully you can see things a bit better. And I've added almost everything except for the sugar snaps and the baby corn. Right, so we've got, this is the order you should do it in. Forget if I hadn't done it in that order, but the order that I usually do it in, which is 3 tablespoons of oil. Make sure it's not olive oil. You want oil that has a higher heating point. So not olive oil, sunflower, corn oil, rapeseed. I'm using rapeseed. You put the garlic and ginger in that. Put it in cold. Add them in cold and heat the oil up so it flavors the oil. And then after that, I would usually add my onions and the leeks that I had in there. I don't always have leeks, it's just because I'm using up what I have in the oven, in the fridge. And then after the onions, I would add my okra, because I'm not a great lover of okra, but I can eat it if it's kind of fried, so I don't get that sliminess that you can get from okra. That's why I'm trying to push it down. You can see I'm trying to push them down to the oil so that they brown off a bit, because I did put them in a bit late. And then after the okra, then I have the carrots. After the carrots, the green beans and the torta. And we're only cooking them down for a couple of minutes. And I've also added the flat stringless beans, which is cut up. And like I said, remember, have everything prepared when you're doing something like this, because if you try and cut it up as you go along, it just doesn't work. Other things get cooked really too much before you get the other stuff in. So always try, well, no, not try, if you're going to do it right, prepare everything in advance. Now I'm going to add the baby corn. Then they don't take too long to cook, and I like to have a little crunch going on. So all we got left in there at the moment is the sugar snaps. Don't worry about the pak choy and the spring onion, they're going in right at the end. So, and what I said about making it part fried, part steamed. So what we do now, we're going to add just a little bit of water, and it is just a little bit. You see, that's probably about 2 tablespoons of water. You can cover it, but I don't like to cover it because it will definitely steam too much. I'm just putting the water in to stop it from sticking, and also to help the harder vegetables toughen up a bit. And that water will dry out fairly quickly, and it'll be back to frying stage. We'll just keep stirring. Say that's about a minute. We'll keep that going for about another 30 seconds. Now we're going to add in the sugar snaps. You can cut them in half if you want. I like them whole, because like I said, I like that crunch. You like to use the tongs, you can pick up and throw things about with the tongs. Let's start adding some seasonings. I've got a little cayenne pepper. Now, you don't have to use cayenne pepper. You could even slice up a bit of Scotch bonnet if you prefer that. A little ginger. And I'm just sprinkling. So add your stuff, sprinkle in a little, have a taste, and then add more if you want, of whatever you want to add. Some mixed spice. Always think mixed spice on vegetable is lush. I'm going to give that a little stir. See, the water's dried out already. And now I'm going to turn it down to about 6. Don't want it to burn. Then we're going to add some garlic salt. Love my garlic. Then we're going to add our black pepper. I like to buy the whole black pepper and then grind it down myself. So about a level teaspoon of black pepper I'm putting in there. Then stir, 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 stir. And instead of adding water this time, I'm going to add some of the Chinese wine. About a tablespoon. And stir because you don't want nothing to burn. Smells so lush. Then you're going to add some soy sauce, about half a tablespoon I reckon. Again, remember it has salt, although I am using a less salt soy sauce, I think you can see it there. And good old oyster sauce. Now I usually get the less salt one as well, but they didn't have any in the shop that I usually get it from, which is a Chinese shop. I go to Chinese shop and get these things rather than the supermarket. Supermarket is way too expensive. And I add about a tablespoon of oyster sauce. Oyster sauce is just so lush. It has salt and it doesn't taste fishy, just because it's called oyster sauce. It doesn't taste like that. It gives you a kind of it's a mini sauce, I would say. So it's not a dry stir fry. There we are. We are so getting there. Then, of course, we've got to balance it with all those salts. Excuse me. With all those salts, we're going to add 2 fairly heaped teaspoons of sugar. I'm using stevia, whichever way they pronounce it. You know, low calorie sugar. But you can use the demerara sugar or ordinary granulated sugar. I just don't use those refined type sugars anymore unless I absolutely have to. Or even caster sugar is a good sugar to use when cooking, I think, anyway, because it dissolves much quicker. And obviously it's taken on the colour of the oyster sauce and the soy sauce. I can see that my carrots are cooked now, and as you can see, that's the chocha, and you can just about see the hardness still in the middle. That's about right. Yes. Just tasted that. That is so just right. Everything just right. So what I can do now is add the pak choy. And the spring onions. The coriander and the parsley. I'm going to do right at the end. You can cover it and leave it when you're finished, but to be honest, you cover it, it's just going to become steamed veg with its own heat. So what I tend to do, like mix that pak choy in like that. And again, if you have to heat it up a little bit later, if these things, if all the veg aren't too well done, when you heat it up, whether in the microwave, that gives it space for it to stay crispy. So now that we've had the pak choy in, we're still on 6. I'm going to sprinkle on the chopped parsley and the coriander. Do not use a lot of coriander. Coriander will overpower the flavour. So you don't, and you definitely don't want that. You can turn the heating off. The heat on the off. I don't remember if I said about the peppers, but I did add the peppers in around the time, a minute or so after the onions. And when you add in your veg, basically, if you say to yourself a minute for everything, the harder veggies, like your carrots and that, start off with a minute and a half, and everything else, as you put it in, a minute, because obviously they're going to still be in the pan when you're adding all the other vegetables. So that's that. If I wanted to eat that by itself, I'm going to add something like this. Some taco beans, mixed beans. Drain it and add it in. And I would have added those in before I put the pak choy in, or the spring onions and so on. Or you could add butter beans, kidney beans in chili. Any one of them. You can add that to it as well. And you've got a full meal. And that's it. Simple. And there we have it. Part stir-fried and part steamed vegetables in soy and oyster sauce. And that helps it not to be too dry or too greasy. Absolutely delicious. As well as adding the beans to the stir fry, to any stir fry, you could also add one of these packet rices. I use these all the time. They're not fattening. They taste great. I get mine from Aldi's. They got a good range. I mean, this is just a small range of what they have, and these are the ones that I tend to go for. There's also a coconut rice one as well, which I haven't got at the moment, but they're all good. So yeah, you can just warm these up in the microwave for the 2 minutes that it says, and then just mix it in to your stir fry right at the end, and there you have another good meal. You could add the beans as well as the packet rice or packet grains, because they're not all just rice. Some of them are grains. Some are vegan, some are vegetarian. So if you're along them lines, just check the packet to see which is vegan and which is vegetarian. But there you are, full meal, easy, and it's much easier to use these than to cook a pot of rice. And if you're cooking a pot of rice, then you should be looking at brown rice rather than white rice.